I am black but comely, O ye daughters of Jerusalem, as the tents of Kedar, as the curtains of Solomon.
Check out my Hebrew drip, my Hebrew drip. You know I'm Hebrew fresh with my Hebrew chick, and you do not want tests. I got my Hebrew click. I know you can't understand, and I'm on some Hebrew shit. Check out my Hebrew drip, my Hebrew drip. Check out my Hebrew drip, my Hebrew drip. You know I'm Hebrew fresh with my Hebrew click. I know you can't understand, and I'm on some Hebrew shit. Check out my Hebrew drip. Clothes with a garment down to the foot. Lil' mama came back and took another look. Them fringes and them studs probably got her shook. But all I could tell her, I am not a crook. Whole team winning. Can't do it by myself, I brought my whole team with me. Tonight I need some help, I plan on killing these niggas. And I ain't talking murder, shorty feeling these niggas. I know she probably heard of us, One West, Harlem, New York, since 1969. Looking for an Israelite woman that I can get behind. Take her to the promised land, show her good niggas exist. Fuck what her mama saying, you understand? Listen. Fourth dimension blue is my cologne. All I did was say shalom and she offered me a phone number. Especially when I'm in the zone, I tell fire to the moon, girl, you playing with the wrong. Check out my Hebrew drip, my Hebrew drip. You know I'm Hebrew fresh with my Hebrew chick, and you do not want tests. I got my Hebrew click. I know you can't understand, and I'm on some Hebrew shit. Check out my Hebrew drip, my Hebrew drip. Check out my Hebrew drip, my Hebrew drip. You know I'm Hebrew fresh with my Hebrew click. I know you can't understand, and I'm on some Hebrew shit. Check out my Hebrew drip. And you ain't never seen nothing like it with a drip so hard. Made her straight, she was dying cause a nigga cold as ice and sharper than a knife. I could change your whole life just by making you my white man. Look, that nigga got the boots, beard sprays, man. Look, that nigga got the garment with the shades, man. Look, that nigga got the spikes on his armband, and he got the Sheila David on his charm, man. No, I'm not lucky, I'm blessed. Yes, my lady in the dress, they hating, we dead fresh. I'm making their ass sweat with all this masculinity. I can tell she feeling me, my swagger on infinity. And this ain't something you can buy. They asking who am I traded in my suit and tie. And I just got a garment from the captain. Catch me in the club smelling like platinum. Check out my Hebrew drip, my Hebrew drip. You know I'm Hebrew fresh with my Hebrew chick, and you do not want tests. I got my Hebrew click. I know you can't understand, and I'm on some Hebrew shit. Check out my Hebrew drip, my Hebrew drip. Check out my Hebrew drip, my Hebrew drip. You know I'm Hebrew fresh with my Hebrew click. I know you can't understand, and I'm on some Hebrew shit. Check out my Hebrew drip.
Thy cheeks are comely with rows of jewels, thy neck with chains of gold. We will make thee borders of gold and studs of silver. Hebrew drip.
Go ahead. If you ain't, don't be nervous. I'm a human being.
What are you advocating for?
We teach that the people on this side are the real Jews and Israelites of the Bible. We're the Jews of antiquity. What's your nationality, if you don't mind me asking? You're Persian. Give her a hand. She had the courage to say what she was. Now look, I'm gonna put you on the spot. The reason why I say that because a lot of people they be like offended when I ask what they are. Oh, why you want to know? Why you want to know? You're Persian. Let me ask. So, are you familiar with the Persians and the Medes, the Achaemenid Empire, Cyrus, Darius? Right. They were a part of what's called the Achaemenid dynasty, meaning all of Cyrus's sons make up the Achaemenid dynasty and empire. Did you know that the Persians are known as who today? Who? In 1935, I believe it was May or March. In 1935, Persia changed its name to what? Give her a hand. Yeah. So who are the Iranians? Give her a hand. Right? Now here's the thing. Persia. Okay, so do you know a little bit of history? Are you from Iran? Okay. How long were you in Iran before you came to America?
9 years.
9 years? Okay. Give her a hand. Right? Now I want to ask you something. Right? We're just having a simple conversation. Before you came to America, why did you want to come to America? Or what happened?
I don't live in America. I live in Canada.
Okay, but you're in America. How do your people over there envision America? Like what? Amazing. The streets is paved in gold, right? That's how they make it seem, right? Do you see that the streets ain't paved with gold? You see that, right? You see that it's gold plated, right? You see that this place is disgusting. You can smell it.
It's so horrible. Why do you live here?
So here comes the devil. Say it again.
If America's so horrible, why do you live here?
She said, if America is so horrible, why do you live here? Let me tell you something, Ashley. I'm a so-called Native American Indian.
That's
this is
right.
my homeland.
Right.
What the hell are you doing here?
Right.
What are you doing here?
I'm from Russia.
What are you doing here? How you gonna tell the homeowner why he in his house?
Right.
How you gonna do that? How? I'm telling you. But do you see that? Do you see that? I'm sorry? America is terrible for what it's done. What America has done to my people is absolutely horrible.
Right.
Is it not? Is it not?
I don't celebrate Thanksgiving because I don't do genocide.
Okay, that's give her a hand. That's amazing. You shouldn't. I wouldn't celebrate the death of 77 million Native American Indians, but guess what? America does. Do they not? Do they not advertise all in your supermarkets? Thanksgiving, grab you a turkey. Go ahead.
So do you agree with what's happening in Palestine?
What's happening in Palestine? How they getting bombed?
Do you agree with? No. Let's just say
Go ahead.
do you agree with the method in which they're taking the land?
What's the method in which they take?
Just killing the children, raping the women, and making them.
That's absolutely horrible. That's horrible.
Yeah, but okay, but if you are advocating for this, I'm asking, like, because in your book, or in that book, I guess they say that this is the land that you should take back, this is their land, and so it's like you're holding land, you should take it back. Do you agree in like the method in which they're going back?
No. You know why? Because they're not the real Jews in the first place.
Right.
Those people in the land of Israel are imposters.
Right. That's
They're
right.
not the real Jews. You looking at them.
That's
You
right.
looking at. You came all the way from Iran, and God showed you a real Jew.
Right.
And guess what? When God comes back, when Christ cracks that sky, He's gonna remove those people from the land of Israel, where they won't bomb Palestinian children anymore.
Right.
They won't
Right.
molest Palestinian children anymore, because that goes on, right or wrong. But guess what? How do you feel about that? How do you feel about how they treated your people? It's angry, right? We can feel that way too.
Right.
Native Americans can feel that way.
Right.
Black people can feel that way. You feel me? We talking about the transatlantic slave trade, where they used to have us on oxygen blocks, where they used to lynch us, lynch mobs. The Ku Klux Klan, not even 50 years ago, would terrorize black people's homes. Break the windows, throw muzzle towers at their front yard, right or wrong. So this is what I'm saying. All we saying is we speaking out.
My people.
Who are your people?
I'm Turkish.
Okay.
My people were sex slaves by Turkey and in the Middle East. My people were not American white. We didn't participate in the whole slave trade or anything.
I got you.
We were slaves ourselves.
I got you. Who enslaved you?
Middle East.
Other white people, right? Other white people. Germanic here. You know what I'm saying? Other forms of Caucasian. Here's the thing, though.
Actually, who started the African slave trade was Spain.
Yeah, white people.
They're not really white. They don't consider
Spain, but they're white people.
Right.
You seem educated. You know that they white people.
They don't like being called white by other white people.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't like being murdered either.
Right.
I don't like being colonized and assimilated into American culture. You understand that, right?
The boats that they put the slaves on were Jewish homes.
Absolutely they was.
Right.
Yeah, they was. Give her a hand. She said the fake Jews. Let me ask you a question. Who are the real Jews?
I don't know.
Oh, there you almost had it. You're supposed to ride the momentum.
Everybody says it's
No, they don't. No, they say they Sephardic. The word Sephardic ain't even in the Bible. Ain't no. Yeah, I mean that's fine. I mean you white. I don't expect white people to believe in the Bible. But your top historians and archaeologists, they do believe in that Bible.
Right.
They was on to something. They know. What's your nationality?
From Israel.
You're from boy. She's from Israel. Are you Jewish?
Absolutely yes.
Say that one more time.
Absolutely yes.
So rudely yes.
Absolutely yes.
Absolutely yes. Are you visiting America?
No, I live here.
Oh, she live here.
I did military and then I came.
I got you. Now let me ask you this. Give me Jeremiah. Well, hope that too. So you believe the Bible or the
No,
Torah?
I don't want to have this conversation. I just watch, you know.
Okay, that's fine. But this is what we teach. We teach that the people in the land of Israel are not the real Jews of antiquity.
The people in Israel are not the real
They're
Jews.
not the real Jews.
Believe me, we don't need you to teach us this thing. Believe me, we will be without you. We will be okay.
Say that one more time.
We will be okay without you also. I promise you.
Oh yeah. I mean, Earth is gonna be okay without you
We
too.
don't need you to
That's
teach us.
right.
We're gonna go extinct no more
We
without
don't need
you.
you to teach
The air is going to be clean without you. We're going to go to our nearest rivers and drink from it. But we can't do that. Why? Because of you. Because of your people.
Right.
So, I mean, we're going to be fine without y'all. And you're not a real Jew.
Right.
That's not a dollar, you're a hootie. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's not a dollar, you're a hootie. You know what I mean?
All right, check. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Let's get started. Let's get it. This is the Tuesday night Brotherhood class. You know what I mean? Yahabashimi Awashah Brakata to the carnales. Yahawash Alata Bahashimi Awashah to the mujeres. And then let me start the class off. Knights 2K. I see you on here. Already trying to bring this nonsense, man. Your little trolling, whatever you want to call that, right? Knights 2K. You sure you're not a member of IUIC? You sure you don't rock purple? What's the purpose of this movement? I'm glad you asked that. The purpose of this movement is to wake up so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans to their true identity.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And the other purpose is to teach them brotherhood, as that's the purpose of tonight's class.
Damn right.
You know what I mean? So, no sweat. A troll for asking, because you done asked twice already, and you already commenting crickets and no increase in support, no increase in notoriety, not a lot of evidence for it. You're already trolling, man. What's the problem is? I just told you to go, but no sweat. I don't know, no sweat. Mariposa. I don't know what to call you. You know what I mean? But let's get it in, man. Who got in here tonight? Young man J. A. Shalom. Yabashim Shabrakta. You know what I mean? Anybody else, go ahead, type in your questions. Prophesizing to the wind and be long suffering, meaning we're going to keep doing this, man. We're not in here for numbers. We're not in here to what is it to become rich and famous. I don't know what your goal is, what movement you got, Knights 2K. Go ahead, Art.
Salakia, sir, he don't know that the apostles were only 12 that followed Christ.
Right, 12 that follow Christ. Christ, you know what I mean? Christ didn't do this. Christ did the ultimate. He was in this to sacrifice his life. No significant difference from what? What are you on, Knights 2K? Just out of curiosity here. What you on? Go ahead, enlighten me. Tell me what movement you represent, right? And does it benefit my people? That's why I assume you're a troll, because usually the people that do nothing, that are like to stay on the sidelines and just be out talking, are the ones that have the most to say. Y'all cynical as hell, man. Y'all don't even want people to learn. You don't want to learn. You're over here already, asserting yourself like you want something, like you know something more than us. So, you know what I mean? Who's not trying to learn? I'm here to teach. I'm here to teach brotherhood today, man. You know what I mean? I'm here to teach the oppression of so-called blacks and Hispanics. You know what I mean? And we're going to start it with a precept. You know what I mean? So no sweat. Nice 2K. You already trolling, or I don't know what you are. I'm not going to entertain you no more, man. No sweat. You go ahead and you go ahead and go about your life, man. Go troll them purple sodomites. That's what you should go do, man. They'll entertain you. So yeah, Khan, go to the book of Jeremiah, chapter 50, verse 33. We gonna start right there.
Got it, sir.
Khan. No, you got it, Khan.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 50, verse 33. Thus said the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together.
Thus saith the Lord of hosts, right? Hosts meaning army, right? The children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, right? I titled tonight's class, right, that the Bible is the story of black and brown. You know what I mean? When you look at the things that happened to the Israelites, when you look at the prophecies, you know, the curses, there's only three groups of people that applies to. I wouldn't say one group, Yakawan, but you know, there's three groups of people that applies to, and that's so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You know what I mean? We're the three groups of people that fit what the Bible's talking about. You know?
That's right.
Keep reading that.
And all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go.
Right. And all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go. Right? America does not want to let go of so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. It does not want to stop oppressing us. There was something heavy I saw, you know, I heard, you know, when I was on the way over here, Yakawan, and it was Black Watch, or America on Fire, right? And Commanding General Hanna was, I believe it was Commanding General Hanna, it was the generals, right? They were talking about the oppression, right? Actually, it was General Mayak that was going into it, right? This is why we call the oppressor the devil that the Bible speaks of. I'm engaging you right now, Knights 2K. If this isn't, you know, if this isn't what you're feeling, then you can go ahead and move on. I already answered your questions. You just, you know, you already coming off like you on something else, so no sweat. But yeah, as I was saying, Yakawan, right? John Mayak was saying how America, right? These other nations, the top leaders of all these other nations, know who we are. They know, you know, that in order that as long as we serve the Lord, right? As long as we serve the Most High, that they cannot oppress us. They cannot have their rulership in their kingdoms, right? And that's why they push all this stuff on us. Why they push the alternative lifestyle. Why they push, you know, these holidays, their culture on us. You know what I mean? Why they push us to eat pork, shrimp, crab, and lobster, because they know that'll get us away from the Lord, right? Let's see if I can, you know, hold on. Give me 1 second. All right, he's gone. And you're gone. But yeah, you know, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go. So thus, you know, America knows who we are, and that's why, as I was saying, they push their lifestyle on us. They push that alternative lifestyle, that LGBTQ lifestyle. They push the lies that, you know, our black brothers are African Americans. They push the lie on us that we're mestizos. They push the lie on our Gadite brothers, you know, our so-called Native American brothers, that they came over here on the land bridge, so that we don't learn who we truly are. You know what I mean? Then they push the propaganda that what we teach in here in the UPK, right, is indigenous erasure, that it's misogynistic, that it's evil, right? When the only thing we're teaching, right, is to get our people off drugs, to get our people, to wake our people up, right? That's what we teach out, to help our people. And yet we get people like, you know, Nice 2K, you know, who want to come over here and come at us with some nonsense, you know? So no sweat. Let's keep going. So that's tonight's topic, right? The Bible is a story of black and brown, and I'm gonna show you some examples, right? I'm gonna show you some examples in how the Bible is our story, and in thus showing you, right, that it fits both black and brown. You realize that black and brown, you're both brothers, man, in this society. You both are the Lord's chosen people, man. We grow up, right, thinking that we're two separate races of people. We think that we're you know, we can't rock with one another, right? You always hear the arguments, Yakawan. Oh, why is it that, you know, they're not at our Black Lives Matter marches? Mexicans never supported us, and vice versa. Mexicans say, oh, we've been to their marches, they never support us, right? Not realizing that, you know, we've been pitted against one another.
That's right.
Not realizing that, you know, those marches aren't going to do anything, man. The Black Lives Matter movement is not our movement. You know what I mean? That's an LGBTQ movement. You know, so thus, you know, that this is what happens. You know, we turn against one another, and we're ignorant of one another.
That's right.
So Jeremiah 15:33, right? The Lord is saying, you know, that both the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together. So-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are oppressed together. You know, now if you could, I'll go to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 1, right?
book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt not hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth.
Right. So read one more time from the top out.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth.
Right. The Lord will set thee on high above all nations of the earth, right? It shall come to pass that thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, right? And let me say this, man. The commandments translate to brotherhood. The commandments translate to carnalismo, compassion and love. That's the love that we have, that we're supposed to have for one another, right? That the Lord thy God will set us on high above all the nations in the earth. You ever wonder why we're at the bottom of society? Right? Well, what just happened, Yakuwan? Right? They got rid of what? The affirmative action? So, they got rid of the affirmative action, right? Which is, it affects both, right? It affects both black and brown, to be honest, And we're now we're gonna have the Asians over us. There's a reason why in the ghettos and the barrios and the reservations, right? That there's liquor stores and laundromats and what else they got? Check cash places. What else they got? Dry cleaners. Swap meets. What else? I'm thinking all the shops they got out there. Who owns these shops, man? It's another nation of people, man. It's right. Usually Asians. It's usually Arabs. It's usually East Indians. Correct. They come into your barrios, man. They come into your ghettos, man. They come to your reservations, make all the money off your people, and then take it back to their people, right? The money doesn't even stay in your ghetto or your barrio, right? Right. And that's part of, that's part of the issue, man, that you got another one. Wade Wilson. Y'all should have talked to him. Let me say this, Wade Wilson, right? If you come in here, cordial or have some decorum, we'll address you decorum debate. You're going to come over here and disrupt my class and come already have a condescending attitude, I'm going to just boot you out the room, just straight up. So, no sweat. Because he had a condescending attitude, didn't he, Yakuan? He was already saying, oh, yeah, what y'all do is nothing. What y'all do doesn't produce anything like that. You telling me that I got to sit there and talk with someone who's not interested, who already has a preset, has their mind made up? And I'm sure you probably are Knights 2K, Wade Wilson. You're probably the same user. No, sir. Go ahead, Kana.
He had already started by saying that we're so little that nobody pays attention to us. That's how he meant to came off as.
Right. Yeah, man. So just be forewarned, man. Y'all come over here trying to troll my class, I will boot you. I will block you. You know what I mean? Not gonna entertain none of that. But let's keep going on. So thus, the Lord saying, we keep those commands, we will be. The point I was saying, right, what I was making with all those shops, right, with the laundromats and all that, right, is that if we had kept the brotherhood, if we had kept those law, statutes, and commandments, we will own them. Ain't no Asian would be in our ghettos or our barrios owning those all those sweatshops a lot. All those laundromats, liquor stores, dry cleaners. We will own them, right? We will own those, carnal, and make the money, and the money will stay within our community. You know what I mean? That's what will happen, right? Go ahead, carnal.
Not only that, but they will come into our barrios to get Mexican food, not, us getting Chinese
right. The
food.
money will stay within us. And let me say this, the only reason why, these other nations, make all that money, because they'll come in and mimic, our Mexican food, our clothes, everything, is because we go and buy it. You know what I mean? We go and go into their shops and buy their fake, imitation, clothing, because they took that, you know what I mean? They own the shop. So now we have no choice but to go to them. And that's where our leaders failed us, you know what I mean? Our leaders taught us to our so-called leaders, taught us to let's trust these other nations, let's deal with them, and befriend them. What was that judge's name that got rid of the affirmative action? Who was a brother, by the way, right?
I believe it was Clarence Thomas, sir.
Clarence Thomas, right? He was a brother, man, and he turned on his own people. You know what I mean? He betrayed his people by doing that, which shows a lack of brotherhood, So, Khan, if I say so, no sweat. It's what the Bible says, Wade Wilson. So, it's like, you got the ears to hear me, man. If not, hey, man, Lord be with you. I'll engage out to a certain point. You know what I mean? You help my video. Let me just say that. You help my class. But let's get it. All right. So the first example I'm gonna go to, right, is of course as a lot of y'all realize, right, last week was the 4th of July, and man, was it not cracking last 4th of July, Yakawan. Oh. We heard how real it was getting out there, man. You know what I mean? As I'm literally teaching the class, you hear the shots. I went back and listened again, man, and yeah, those were gunshots. You know what I mean? That's how lit the 4th of July was, and that's proof that you should not be celebrating that. But here's another reason why you shouldn't celebrate the 4th of July, man. As that same week, right, that the 4th of July happened, what happened? DeSantis sent another bus of migrants into LA, right? Another bus of quote unquote illegal immigrants, right? And that's the thing, right? That we're the illegal immigrants. And that's why the white man's the devil, because this is our land, this is our soul, our home, and we get treated like we're the guests, But going back, right, that happens, and we're gonna go celebrate America's holiday. That's the type of people that Clarence Thomas represents, man. The type of mind state, right? You ask me what I'm doing, right? I'm showing you the mind state of that's destroying us. The mind state that leads to why our neighborhoods are the way they are, man. Okay. Hey, halak. Hey, shalom, Lord in Christ. Yabashirabakta. All right. Let me get the story popping. Actually, let's see. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15 before we get into the stories. Right? Now, this is what... Oh, so like, go to verse 2. I said, read verse 2.
Verse 2?
Yeah, Khan.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 2. And all these blessings shall come on thee, and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
Right, and all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God. That's what I'm talking about, right? The owning of the shops, us having that wealth within our communities, right? Us being over these other nations, right? And not having them over us. Because lo and behold, that was a curse for us, right? That's why we suffer. Like I said, us not owning anything. That was them, man. Like them, the destroying our neighborhoods, man. Now go to verse 15. And this is the problem, man. This is what we did.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 15, chapter 28, verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee.
All these what?
All these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
Right. It shall come to pass. If thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, right? The Lord your God, Israel. The Lord your God, Rasa, right? To observe and to do all his commandments and the statutes, which I command thee till this day, till today as we speak, right? That if you don't keep that carnalismo, right? All these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Now go to verse 16, carnal.
Verse 16. Cursed shalt thou be in the cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field.
Right. Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field, right? And that's going to tie into my next story, right? We're going to start from, I was going to start with a couple things, but we're going to start with this one, right? As a matter of fact, I might have you read it, Yakowan. Because like I said, man, this is how foolish we look at. This is how foolish we look celebrating the 4th of July last week, right? All right. We're over here going to celebrate this holiday, you know, and America was doing this to us, right? Let me see. All right. Actually, I have it's a video.
People to leave the state. Immigration legislation. In Florida, roughly 200 new laws signed by Governor Ron DeSantis take effect today, impacting guns, abortion, and education. One new law is prompting people to leave the state. Immigration legislation that imposes some of the nation's toughest penalties on undocumented.
Right. So Florida was already imposing the strictest immigration policies on so-called Hispanics. You know what I mean? On us, right? On raza, right? And we over here foolishly, you know, celebrating the 4th of July, a day that has nothing to do with us, right? So that right there, man, like shows the lack of brotherhood, man. That you're gonna celebrate, you know, the 4th of July and love America when America doesn't love you. America doesn't love your people, man. This is what it was doing to your brothers and sisters, to your carnales, right? To your mujeres, right? Putting them on buses, separating the families, right? Putting our children in cages, and we're gonna celebrate their holiday. Where were your ancestors on July 4th, 1776, Raza? They were being lynched from trees. They were being unalived, right? Wait, Wilson, just a curiosity, what's your nationality? Alicia Dominique, hey, shalom, sis, Yahweh Shema, Allah Bashim Yahushai. This is a curiosity. Let's see. Y'all want some engagement? I'm going to give y'all some engagement. What's your nationality, Wade Wilson? Night's gone. You about to be next. We'll continue.
Manuel Bojorquez explains.
The run-up to the new law has sparked protests by immigrant workers, from those in the tourism and hospitality industry to those who work in agricultural fields. We recently met Yvette Cruz of the Farm Workers Association of Florida at an okra field south of Miami.
We are hearing people that are starting to leave. We're just going to keep seeing that more as the law will take effect.
She's referring to reports that some migrant workers are leaving the state, abandoning farms and construction projects. The new law invalidates out-of-state driver's licenses of undocumented immigrants, includes harsh penalties for those who hire them or transfer.
Look at this. This is why the white man is the devil. You see this law they put, right? So the immigration bill invalidates out-of-state driver's license of undocumented immigrants, right? And then the second one is harsh penalties for those who hire or transport them. I don't know. I'm not the smartest man in the world, right? Well, you know what the general always says, right? But how did they get those migrants from Florida to over here, right? How did DeSantis get those migrants from Florida to over here? Wait, Wilson, you want to answer that? How did Governor Ron DeSantis get those migrants from Florida all the way here to California?
Should be indicted, sir.
He should be, right? He's a hypocrite, right? And he's showing he doesn't follow his own law. Don't worry about Nice 2K. I'm sure he has another account and he's going to tap in again and start trolling again. Right, by bus. And what were they doing on the bus, Wade Wilson? They were transporting them, right? They were showing that they don't even follow their own law. You know what I mean? When it comes to them, the laws don't apply, right? All of a sudden, when it comes to Ukrainians, when it comes to Russians, all of a sudden the immigration laws don't apply. Title 42 doesn't apply to them. You know, when it comes to the Afghans, Title 42 doesn't apply to them. They get Airbnbs and flights. The highest number, right, of undocumented immigrants in this country is, Arabs, right? Is East Indians, is Asians. America, I believe, right now is basically at war with China. You know what I mean? I guess you could call it a Cold War because they ain't shooting at one another yet, but they're making threats. Just like it was with the Russians. But that they're doing this to them, and they're not putting Chinese on those buses. They're not separating those families. They're not putting their children in cages, but they are doing it to Hispanic kids, so-called Hispanic children, right? They are doing it to Haitian children, right? Hey, Officer Marai. Hey, shalom, sir. Yabashim Shabbat. Let's keep getting it.
Support them, which critics say can include family members, and it requires hospitals that get Medicaid funds to ask for a patient's immigration status. Republican
look at this devil, man.
Candidate Ron DeSantis.
Hey, look at he got. You see what he's doing? You see exactly what he's doing.
Is needed due to what he considers the Biden administration's failure to secure the border.
Now, at the end of the day, you wouldn't have the illegal immigration problem if you didn't have a lot of people that were.
Nah, I'm gonna stop him right there. You just heard what he said, right? He said you wouldn't have the illegal immigration problem. This devil, right? Need we ask you how your ancestors got here? Need we ask how white people got here to America? You want to talk about anchor babies and illegal immigrants? You, by definition, are the true illegal immigrants, right? It was no legal process. It wasn't legal when you broke the treaties with the Native Americans. It wasn't legal when you stole the land from Mexico. It wasn't legal when you brought slavery over here, right? It was against and of course, legal has a context because I know you devils, man, y'all play around with words and paperwork. But let me say this, in the laws of God, it was illegal what you did, right? It was illegal what you did. And you're the children of those people. You're the children of the colonizers, right? You are the true anchor babies. You are the true illegal immigrants. Yet you have the nerve to call native people of this land, you know what I mean? You had the nerve to call native people of this land illegal immigrants. Then they made Disney movies on them. What are you talking about, Wade Wilson? And they made Disney movies on them? Are you talking about? Explain. Right, you said, and they made Disney. What Disney movies are you talking about? Right. So that's the thing, right? They call us that, right? Now, what the scriptures say, that if we didn't, keep the law, statutes, and commandments, that we would get, we would be cursed in the field and we would be cursed in the sea. We would not be able to escape the curses, right? And our people, suffered. They escaped Mexico. They escaped South and Central America, right? So-called Latin America, right? I went through all types of hell getting over here, only to come over here and experience more hell at the hands of America, right? And that just shows the proof of who this curse fits, right? How it fits so-called Hispanics. Okay, Khan, I got you, Wade Wilson. Right, Disney did make movies about the exploitation of natives and the people, right? Right, like Pocahontas, correct, right? Pocahontas was really disgusting. You know what I mean? It also demonized indigenous men. But yeah, the whole point, right, with this story, right, is to show, right, that no matter what you do, right, you cannot escape the curses, right? The general always broke it down that the issue with the so-called white man is a supernatural problem, right? And it's going to require a supernatural solution, right? And the way we're going to acquire that supernatural solution is by coming back to the law, statutes, and commandments, by serving the Lord, right? That's the supernatural solution. It is brotherhood, man. That's what following Christ is. You know what I mean? Your man Jay Khan, right? The oppressor will never be truthful. Only lies are in their DNA. They have a hidden agenda that destroys our people that trust in them. Khan, damn right. Right, you see that hidden agenda with the whole Two Spirit movement, with the 23andMe, with the what was that other one called, Ancestry.com, right? These devils, right, steal your identity and then sell it back to you, and then it's been exposed that those things have been scams. Song of the South too. I haven't seen that movie, Wade Wilson, but probably is pretty messed up. You know what I mean? Just like you said, I'm sure you're agreeing with what I said about Pocahontas and saying that Song of the South is the same thing. No sweat. And it just shows, right? That's the supernatural solution that we need to be, is to come back in brotherhood, right? That's how these other nations are succeeding, man, because they're united as a people, right? The Chinese, they got the brotherhood with their own, The white man has brotherhood with his own. The white man has ultimate. Well, I want to say ultimate, but that's not the word I want to use. But the white man has brotherhood, right? He demonstrates it every day. That's why they go and storm capitals, when their president doesn't win, and it's pretty hypocritical, man. But they they did it for their nation, because here's the thing that we don't wake up and realize, Yakowan. We don't understand that that's how we love our race, right? Every other nation loves their race. The Asians love their race. The East Indians love their race. The Arabs love their race. The white man loves his race. But for some odd reason, right, so-called blacks, so-called Hispanics, and so-called Native Americans cannot love their race. We're not allowed to love our race, We're not allowed to love our own first. We're called extremists. We got brothers that tell us it's pointless, right? That when we push black and brown love, when we're out on those street corners, saying the truth, saying what the Bible says, all of a sudden it's pointless. All of a sudden we're doing it for nothing. All of a sudden we have an evil agenda, right? When every other nation does that, every other nation knows to love their own. We, for some odd reason, cannot love our own, right? Now, this is what so-called Hispanics, right? That story I showed, right? Now, if you could, let me see. Actually, let me pull this video. Let me show you how it be. Oh, that's a different one. Hold up. Because I'm going to show you something else right here. This is heavy. Right here, this story I came across, but this is not the one. I want to find the story about the H. There we go. Right? And this is the whole other thing, right? Because this whole immigration thing affects both black and brown, right? This is going on with the Haitians.
If you come to the United States illegally, you will be returned. Your journey will not succeed, and you will be endangering your life and your family's lives. This administration is committed to developing safe, orderly, and humane pathways for migration, but this is not the way to do it.
So for us, right, now he's talking about Haitians, right? This is a Haitian migrants, right? That the ICBK, we did a mission to Acuña, Mexico, to help them out, right? You hear this devil already saying, this is not the way to do it. Why is it that what do you mean is not the way to do it when it comes to us? Go ahead, Kanan. Go ahead, you got the
They're saying don't do it how we did it.
Right, that's exactly what he's saying. He's saying don't do it how we did it. You got to do it the right way, right? Don't do it how the Ukrainians did it. Don't do it like the Afghans did it. Don't do it like the Somalis, the Chinese, the Koreans, all these other nations, right? Don't do it like they did it, because I'm pretty sure they didn't get in line. You know what I mean? They got a free plane. Like I said earlier, they got a free plane ride over here, man. What happened with us? We literally walked to the border, asked to be let in. We're not attacking nobody. And this is how they treat us.
Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas is in Texas this afternoon, seeing a massive surge of thousands of migrants firsthand. He's in Del Rio, Texas, where authorities have started mass deportations from that crowd of 15,000 migrants living in a camp city under a bridge. Now, it's a government effort to deter more migrants from traveling there. That group is mostly Haitian migrants, and already thousands have been deported. There is video of one of those deportation flights arriving in Port-au-Prince. And according to officials, ICE will begin flying multiple deportation flights a day starting tomorrow. See that parent with their child. But for many of those Haitian migrants under that bridge, Haiti hasn't been home for a decade, and we're seeing an increasingly heartbreaking situation unfold there in Del Rio. The next image might be tough to look at, but it's important to look at. The El Paso Times reported that a mounted Border Patrol agent...
There's a photo, right, of that Haitian brother with his daughter crossing the river, right? Now I'm going to show the other people that suffer this, right? Y'all remember this image right here? Remember, I'm sure you remember this image, Yako-Wan. This infamous image, right? That's what I'm gonna call it. Let's see if I can share it there. You saw that, right? And thus, right? Thus the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together. Because that's what happens to both. We're both suffering this, man. We're both suffering these curses, man. This happens to just show the brother dead and you know, unalived in the water with his daughter. But you saw the picture earlier with the father and his daughter, the Haitian father and his daughter crossing the river, right? And then, of course, this image.
Agent was seen wielding a whip during an encounter with Haitian migrants. And joining us here in Washington is NBC News national security and justice correspondent Julia Ainsley. So, Julia, we'll talk about the Border Patrol enforcement strategy in a second. But you've got these deteriorating conditions, mass deportations, the image that we just showed. How did the situation get so bad so quickly?
It did get very bad very quickly. And in the past, when we've been talking about caravans coming from places like Honduras, El Salvador, there's usually a 2 to 3 week lead time where we're actually able to watch people come up, and DHS has intelligence officers who are tracking who's coming and where they're going. In this case, it really exploded overnight. We went from 5,000 on Wednesday to 15,000 under that bridge on Sunday. And the reason, Jeff, is buses. A lot of these immigrants took buses through Mexico. Once they got to the Guatemala-Mexico border, they were put on buses either by cartels who were paying for them, or in some cases, even government authorities who just said, look, we can't take all of these people in at once. And Mexico basically didn't do as much on the enforcement side as the U.S. would have hoped, but in large part because they were maxed out at capacity. This group was just so large. And so
that's the Haitians right now. Let me show the Hispanics, right? So-called Hispanics, Salakia. The story was from, 2 years ago? But that just recently happened, right? A few months, not too long ago. I don't say months, but this happened not too long ago with our people as well. See, we'll just show this one.
There's a migrant caravan headed to the U.S. border again. a march of the desperate who, with sheer will, overpowered armed police on the Guatemalan border. It began with an estimated 11,000 on foot crossing from Honduras to Guatemala. Now in Mexico, the caravan's smaller but still determined to reach its final destination, the United States. They may not know President Biden's name, but many believe he will be different on immigration than the name they do know, President Trump. She says this president has a good heart. He's a good president, but when asked which president, she says the one that took over for Trump. Documenting their grueling step-by-step journey, Italian photographer journalist Nico Filippo Rosso. The trek north over densely wooded mountains, driven in large part by
Biden is not any better, man.
We traveled to Honduras a year ago. Then people there told us they wanted to leave to escape gang violence and a collapsed economy.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 48, verse 20. Go ye forth of Babylon, flee ye from the Chaldeans.
Right. Go ye forth of Babylon, flee ye from the Chaldeans. Keep reading that.
With the voice of saying, declare ye. Tell this, utter even to the end of the earth. Say ye, the Lord hath redeemed his servant Jacob.
Right. So it's saying, go ye forth of Babylon, flee ye from the Chaldeans, right? Of course, they're fleeing oppression, right? Under the Babylonian Empire, right? And with the voice of singing, declare ye, tell this, utter it to even to the end of the earth. Say ye, the Lord hath redeemed his servant Jacob, right? The Lord, right, that had redeemed his servant Jacob, right? The Israelites, right? Saving them, getting them out of oppression. Keep reading.
Verse 21. And they thirsted not when he led them through the Salakia. And they thirsted not when he led them through the desert. He caused the water to flow out of the rock for them.
He clave the rock also in the water. What happened when the Israelites were escaping Egypt, right? They were out in the desert. They were, Moses, right, made water rush out of a rock, right? Because they were thirsty. The Lord brought down manna from heaven, right? So basically, when they were in their time of need, they depended on the Lord to come and help them, right? Because they were going through hell. So basically, cleaving unto the Lord to get us out of this hell.
That's right.
Right? And now, keep reading.
He clave the rock also, and the water gushed out.
Right. I go to the next. Now read the next verse.
Verse 22. There is no peace, saith the Lord, unto the wicked.
Because we don't serve the Lord out, there's no relief. Right? No matter what did Deuteronomy 28:16 say? Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field. Right? You're not going to escape your curses, man. Everything that our people are suffering, right? From the Haitians, what they're facing, to the Hondureños, what they're facing and suffering, to that brother that drowned in the river with his daughter, to the other brother having to cross the water was like almost right here to his shoulder, right? And he's holding his daughter up. Those are all curses that we can't escape because we're not coming together as a nation. We're under another nation right now, an evil nation that has no compassion on us, man. Know what I mean? Them Babylonians, they were probably ruthless, just like the Egyptians, just like the Romans, just like the Greeks, man. Had no compassion on the Lord's people, right? So, and like America today, who has no compassion on the Lord's people. So now I'm going to go back to the video.
want to go to the United States? Yes. ¿Y por qué? Why?
Look at what this sister's saying. She's saying Honduras, she's hoping the Biden administration will be different from Trump, right? And it's sad because Biden is no different from Trump. What the scripture say? Woe to them that go to Egypt for help, man. The thing that happens is destruction comes our way when we depend on these people. That's the situation with DeSantis right now. This is what awaits her when she comes to America.
Because here there's so much poverty. Those fears still remain after 2 Category 4 hurricanes hit just 2 weeks apart last November. In this dramatic Rosso photograph, Jessica, a mother, collapsed under the strain. She's since been revived, saying she had to leave her hurricane-damaged village of San Pedro Sula. So, Nico, why are people leaving?
Entire neighborhoods are still under the mud and under water. It's impossible to live there, on top of endemic poverty and violence. I would say people are desperate.
Those immigrants who think they're coming to the United States, are they wrong if they think that things have changed now that President Trump is gone and President Biden is in?
I think they'll be deeply disappointed. I think there was a sense that just because there was change in administration, that next day everyone will be welcome at the border. That is simply not true.
President Biden now has but a few weeks before this caravan is knocking on the door. He says now that President Biden is here, we are looking to see what the new president says to move forward. An answer Americans who live along the southern border are also waiting to hear. Kerry Sanders, NBC News.
Hey, NBC News.
So now you could go to the book of go to Ecclesiastes, or I think it's Ecclesiastes 3:16. If it's not that one, then it's Ecclesiastes. 3:16 is talking about. It might be Ecclesiastes. Oh no. Yeah, not Ecclesiastes 3:16. Because what was that sister? She was describing utter hell. You know what I mean? Now, this is from a few years back, right? Because they got hit by hurricanes and everything. Same thing that happened. What happened in Haiti? Haiti got hit by an earthquake, right? You see the horrible conditions that both groups of people are suffering. The other hell they're in. Go ahead, whenever you got it, Kanar.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verse 16. And moreover, I saw under the sun the place of judgment, that wickedness was there, and that the place of righteousness, that iniquity was there.
Honduras is the place under the sun. Haiti is the place under the sun. Mexico is the place under the sun, right? The earth is the place under the sun. When people want to talk about hell is a place you go, when you die, right? Nah, man, hell is the ghettos, the barrios, and the reservations, right? Hell is the oppression that we're under. Hell is the horrible conditions that we're put in because the people that we thought were going to be our leaders, right? That we thought had our best interests in their hearts, sold us out, right? That's what it is, man. That's the place of judgment. All the things that we go through as a nation of people are judgments from the Lord. I brought out last class, right? How all the things, the bad things that happen, right? Like the disasters, that's the Lord, right? The Lord says, I wound and I heal. I kill and I make alive, right? God did it, and God has us in this messed up state right now because we hate one another. Because in us hating one another, I'm going to show you why we're in that messed up state in a minute, right? Those people will take what I say out of context, Yakuwan, and say I'm blaming God. I'm not blaming God, right? What I am blaming is this oppressor.
That's right.
And what I am, asking is what were our ancestors thinking, right? When they turned on one another, when they started serving other gods, right? that wickedness was there, and the place of righteousness that iniquity was there, right? The place of righteousness, which was supposed to be this land. The Lord set this land apart, right? Set it apart for us, right? For our ancestors who came over here, which is recorded in 2nd Ezra chapter 13, verse 40, right? As a matter of fact, let's go there real quick, God. Let's see. What happened here, man? Internet go out. There we got it coming out.
The book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 13, verse 40. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land.
They were carried away what?
Prisoners out of their own land.
So those were the 10 tribes that were carried away prisoners out of their own land. What happens to us today in America? We're carried away prisoners in our own land. We're put on migrant buses, right? We're thrown into jails, right? Our children are thrown in cages, right? This happened back then. Something similar. Keep reading, not.
In the time of Hosea the king.
Hosea, right? It's talking about Hosea, right? The king. Go ahead, keep reading.
Whom Salmanassar, the king of Assyria, led away captive.
Right, Salmanassar, right? The king of Assyria. That would be, equivalent to your Ron DeSantis today, right? Keep reading.
And he carried them over the waters, and so came they unto another land.
Right, and he carried them away. Right? This is what throws people out. People think that Salmanassar grabbed the Israelites and brought them over here to America. Nah, man, it wasn't King Salmanassar that did that. It was Hosea. Hosea gathered his people up, right? And they came and escaped. They escaped the Assyrians, right? And they came into another land, right? So keep reading.
Verse 41. But they took this counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen to go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt.
Right, but they took this counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt. And let me say this real quick, not to sidebar too much, right? But this cuts Negro-only Israelites, right? This cuts you Negro-only Israelites, you, I don't know, Old Testament only. Anybody that wants to deny, Rasa being Israel, right? Because what do they say, right? In order to say that the so-called Hispanics and Native Americans aren't the 10 lost tribes, right? You have to tell me who it is. And a lot of times y'all point to a people that dwelled in a land that was dwelt with mankind during that time. You say it's the Africans, right? That the land where never mankind dwelt is in Africa. That the other 10 tribes are Africans, right? How is that possible if Africa or the land of Canaan, wherever you want to say, was dwelt with mankind? Right? That was the multitude of the heathen. We know there's one zone out here right now that's cut off from everyone else, which is the Americas, right? The so-called Americas. But that's to say that, and just to show, right, that this is the place of judgment, the place of righteousness, right? Because they took the counsel amongst them that they would lead the multitude of the heathen to go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt, right? That there, right, read verse 42.
Verse 42, that they might dare keep the statutes which they never kept in their own land.
Right, that they might keep their statutes, right, that they might dare keep their statutes which they never kept in their own land. Right now, this would be, the place of righteousness, right? Keep the law, statutes, and commandments, right? Which they never kept in their own land. And of course, the rest is, their journey, how they made the journey, right? How they crossed, and it says they took them 1.5 years to go over, right? So that lets you know that it can't be somewhere locally. But just that was the sign, just to that's just to show, right? Because the scripture in Ecclesiastes, right, said like the place of judgment, right, under the sun. Now we know that this is, like they were trying to keep the righteousness of keeping those laws, statutes, and commandments, but of course, us being wicked, we go off and followed after these other nations to be like them, and thus we lost the Lord's protection. Right? That's why we're jammed up now. All right, let me go back to Ecclesiastes. Moreover, I saw under the sun the place of judgment, that wickedness was there, and the place of righteousness, that iniquity was there, right? So us, it's talking about Israel as a nation, right? Like we were, not keeping, we were not being righteous, we were committing iniquity, and thus we received the judgment from the Lord. That's what those curses are, right? They're judgments, right? It doesn't make any sense, man, when they say that. But no sweat. Let's continue. All right, where we at? The this and of course that's the border crisis, right, going on, right? That's the hell that they're in. That's the judgment under the sun, right? The quote unquote illegal immigration, right? Let me see something real quick. Let me go to the Book of Esther. Can't be. All right, Khan. So this is taking place, right? And now we're gonna explain right what happens, right, with the lack of brotherhood. You know what I mean? Now if you could Yaquan, go to Deuteronomy 28, 21 through 23, right? Because this is everything that they're describing, right, with those situations. Everything she was describing, right? This is now right here in Deuteronomy. There we got it.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 21. The Lord shall make the pestilence cleave unto thee until he have consumed thee from off the land, whether thou goest to possess it.
Right. The Lord shall make the pestilence cleave unto thee until he have consumed thee from off the land whither thou goest to possess it, right? And that, you saw the conditions in Honduras, you saw the conditions in Mexico, you saw the conditions in all over, right, on the reservation. Like, it's just horrible conditions that we're in, man. And no matter where we go, that's what happens, right? Right. So that's what that's describing, right? Right, and of course, right, that also is describing the ICE detention centers, right? Read the next verse.
Right. Verse 22. The Lord shall smite thee with a consumption and with a fever and with inflammation and with an extreme burning and with the sword and with the blasting and with the mildew, and they shall pursue thee until thou perish.
Right. The Lord shall smite thee with a consumption and with a fever and with the inflammation and with an extreme burning, right? And with the sword and with blasting and with mildew, and they shall pursue thee. It's like we can't escape this. No matter what, we're like it's and that's the thing, right? You see all that happening, and what do people like to say? people like to talk about like, oh, we just can't get ourselves, we can't get our act together, man. We can't pick ourselves up by our bootstraps, you know. It's because we're lazy. You know, they say all types of lies, you know. This is describing the conditions that we put in, whether it be in jail, whether it be in the ICE detention centers, whether it be in those migrant camps, you know. We're in horrible conditions, right?
That's right.
Keep reading that.
Verse 23, and thy heaven that is over thee, Salakia, and the heaven that is over thy head shall be brass, and the earth that is under thee shall be iron.
Right. Now let me show how this applies, right? Let's show an ICE detention center. Here we
has revealed how detained immigrants are subjected to rotten food, severe overcrowding, inadequate medical care, and broken and overflowing toilets.
The inspectors showed up at these 4 detention jails unannounced between May and November 2018 in response to several concerns raised by immigration rights groups and complaints made by prisoners. Meanwhile, the Trump administration's announced it plans to hold some 14.
So what did it say, right? And thy heaven that is over thy head shall be brass, and the earth that is under thee shall be iron. It shall be hard. It shall be hard and tough, right? The conditions shall be horrible, right? It's just complete, utter hell. And now look at what the story is bringing out. Look at the title. The title is Horrific Conditions Revealed in Migrant Detention Centers.
1,400 immigrant children at a site on Fort Sill Army Base in Oklahoma that was once used as an internment camp for Japanese Americans during World War II. The agency's already holding a record.
Good night, Art. So this location was once an internment camp. Hey, Khan, life is hell because we're cursed, Doc. Because we're suffering the curses, right? But it doesn't have to be hell. You can get out of that hell here in the ISUPK, man. You know what I mean? But you saw that they turned you know what's crazy, Why don't you just say what it really is? It's an internment camp for us. It wasn't once an internment camp. It still is an internment camp. That's exactly what those ICE detention centers are. That's right. Exactly what those migrant camps are that they set up for them. Internment centers for us.
Record number of children in some 168 facilities and programs in 23 states. For more, we go to Houston, Texas, where we're joined by Aura Bogado, immigration reporter for Reveal from the Center for Investigative Reporting. She's been speaking with migrants held in a number of these jails. Aura, welcome back to Democracy Now! There was not a lot of mainstream media attention on this Inspector General report. Again, the Inspector General for the Department of Homeland Security. Talk about what it revealed.
Good morning, Amy. It's great to be back. The Inspector General's report indicates what immigrants have said for years about conditions in various detention facilities. As you mentioned, the Inspector General's report did surprise visits to 4 sites. 3 of them are run by
the surprise visits, right? They did surprise visits, right, to catch them, right, to catch them in the act. Of course, let me say this, man. They knew about this. Don't be surprised if you find out they knew the whole time.
Company Geo, and the other one is local to Essex County, New Jersey. And it's hard to know where to begin, but some of what stands out are the photos, for example, from the bathroom facilities where there is unusable toilets, mildew, and mold on the showers.
Look at that, right? This is the food. This is the, let me go back to the scripture, right? What was it saying? The Lord shall smite thee with consumption and with fever and with the inflammation and with an extreme burning and with the sword and with the blasting and with the mildew, and they shall pursue thee without perish until thou perish, right? All the death, all the horrible things that are going on, right? Lord shall make the pestilence cleave unto thee until he have consumed thee from off the land whither thou goest to possess it, right?
Right.
The Lord shall make the rain, right? Verse 24 says, the Lord shall make the rain of thy land powder and dust, for heaven shall it come down upon thee until thou be destroyed, right? Like there's going to be suffering, not.
The Inspector General said that this poses health risks to the people
That's the health risk, right? And let's talk about this is how the pestilence cleaves unto thee, man.
The detainees who are being held there, little to no access to recreation, horrible food conditions, moldy bread, raw leaking chicken blood, unmarked, unlabeled food. Again, things that we've heard about for years. And as you mentioned, this is the DHS Inspector General, and they found that there were multiple violations of ICE's own detention standards. And ICE concurred with the one recommendation, which was to have increased oversight. In some cases, they tried to make fixes right away, such as replacing the kitchen manager at one of the facilities during the inspection. But with some other recommendations, they sort of indicated that they think about it. For example, the Aurora facility in Colorado has a space for in-contact visits, which we know improves the morale of people who are being held in any kind of detention or prison environment. And although it has those facilities, it doesn't allow contact visits. And the Inspector General report cited that. And ICE's response was, we'll think about it, but the standard isn't to have contact visits. So it's an interesting way to sort of skirt that particular issue, which was addressed in the report. Unaccompanied minors then who leave the Border Patrol stations are then taken to shelters around the country, which are run by the Office of Refugee Resettlement.
Now you could go to the book of Deuteronomy 28 and 32.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thine hand.
Right, thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thy hand. Right, your children are going to be removed from you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Right, that's basically what that scripture is saying. Right, there's nothing the parents of those children can do. Right, as the story was just showing right now. Right. All right, there's nothing that they can do.
Shelters around the country, which are run by the Office of Refugee Resettlement. These are all contracted facilities throughout the country, and that's a different department altogether. That's not DHS, but the Department of Health and Human Services. Some of what we found is tremendous abuse, both accusations and proven allegations, as well as in some of these places there is the use of restraints, forced drugging. My reporting partner and I, Patrick Michaels and I, we've been investigating secret shelters in which the Office of Refugee Resettlement, without any judicial oversight, sends children to psychiatric facilities or residential treatment centers, and they're sort of off the map of the shelters that we do know about. They're not contracted.
So all those children, they're being, taken, sent here and there, and the parents can't do anything about it. There's no might in their hand, right? You see the conditions that they're in.
Facilities, and yes, people die. There are really horrible conditions in a lot of these places, and as you mentioned, there have been 24 deaths during the Trump administration. That accounts for the 200 or so deaths since we've been keeping track, which is since 2003, I believe. And then there have been 4 deaths immediately after custody. So those are also tricky to track. We think that it's 4 people who died immediately after being released. They may have been in custody when they were taken to a hospital and then paroled, essentially taken out of custody immediately thereafter. But these are pretty high numbers. And again, they come from places in which people have been detailing the horrid conditions for quite a long time.
Right. So that was, of course, the group Democracy Now. You had a question now?
I just had a comment that they're using terms like prison. They're using prison terms like parole and what you call it. They're just using terminology that's like if they committed like harsh offenses, like maybe murder or something like that,
Right. They're doing that out because they're trying to demonize us. You know what I mean? They're trying to criminalize us so that everyone else will not feel compassion towards us. I'm gonna tell you why they say that. I'm gonna show the next clip that I have, right? That shows the result. Why they say that. See, I got it right here. This is why they say they what is it? What's the term? Why they describe us like that? Why they portray us like that? Because they want people to think like this in our own people, out of everything. Actually, let me show this other guy. Right, this is sad that this brother right here would say this.
Foot has decided to drop Haitian migrants that came over.
His brother's name, I forgot what his name is, but the African, he's the African diaspora. I think we have him. This brother right here says some things that just. But this is why they say that, to get people to react the way this brother and the people that he's covering in his article react.
Into a black neighborhood called Woodlawn, and the residents are very upset about her plans to drop these migrants just in their community. Let's go ahead and roll that clip.
See, so already the governor, right? Her name is or the mayor, right? Mayor Lightfoot wants to put Haitian migrants and Latino migrants in the black community, right? And this is how the community reacts.
I'm here because I am a child of Woodlawn. I was born and raised in Woodlawn. And I'm speaking on behalf of the people that are here and the ones that's not here, the ones that's at work and couldn't make it here. We are very disappointed in this decision that Mayor Lightfoot has made to place these migrants in our community without our permission. Shame. Mayor Lightfoot.
That's crazy. So okay, and this right here, this clip right here could easily be turned to demonize the black community, right? To demonize the black community towards Hispanics, because they had the same reaction to so-called Hispanics coming into that community, right? But here's the same thing with the Haitians. So that this issue here, right? That this is a curse, right? This is the curse is coming to light right before you.
Never pulled this type of thing in anyone's neighborhood. She would not drop off a busload of Haitians in Little Village. She would not drop off a busload of black people in Chinatown. No. She would not drop off a bus.
What this sister doesn't know, right, realizes that the Haitians are her people. The Hondureños, the Guatemaltecos, the Mexicans, those are all her people, right? So she made the example, oh, they won't go drop them off in the Asian neighborhood. They won't go drop them off and you know, and I forgot what other community she said, right? But you would not go drop them off in those neighborhoods. Go ahead, Ad.
Low key, they're saying they're your people. We're dropping them off.
Right, they're saying that, but they don't want to accept that. It's the same thing with Negro-only Israelites, with Latino-only Israelites. They don't want to accept either group, either or as their people.
Load of black people up north. Never. So it's time for Mayor Lightfoot to understand we will no longer be disrespected by you, ma'am. Please withdraw your decision to put the migrants in our community. There's plenty of room in Little Village for their people. Please speak to Little Village and take them over there. We're not hating on anyone, but we're loving on Woodlawn. That's right. As well, we already are struggling with.
My question is this, man. I bet if you go through that community, Woodlawn, you go to the liquor stores, you go to the, you know, the shops and stuff, how many of them are black owned? Why ain't you? I bet you're not putting that same energy to get rid of the Asians out of your community. All of a sudden, when it comes to the Haitians, now it's a problem. When it comes to the so-called Hispanics, now it's a problem.
With the issue of fentanyl in our communities, we don't need anything else to add to the struggles that we already have. If there is a lack of resources in our community, we don't need anyone else to come in and suck the.
And this is the sad part. Go ahead, Ak.
They're getting that territorial spirit from the white man.
Like, here's my thing. You're saying there's a lack of resources, right? You're not. You think there's a lack of resources because of the Haitians? You know why there's a lack of resources? Because of the oppressor that you're not speaking out against. Because of the other nations you're not speaking out against, man.
Those up. That's right. We're tired, Miss Lightfoot. We're tired, and we will not be voting for you. Thank you.
I totally agree with our brothers and sisters in Woodlawn, and let me tell you why.
This brother right here, man, they just, of course.
The black community has been the dumping ground for every immigrant that comes into this country. Every last one of them. If they come over from Asian countries, they put them first in the black community. They come from even this black country.
I understand that frustration, but here's the why do you draw the line at Haitians? Why do you draw the line at so-called Hispanics? Why didn't you draw the line when the Asians came in? You want to blame the Haitians and the so-called Hispanics?
They just put them in our community. They come from even white areas. They'll come put them, just drop them off in the black communities a lot of times at first. The black community has been a dumping ground constantly to put everybody. They come from Latin American countries, put them in the black community. Then we're going to put them in communities of their own people. They always put them in the black community. Now she said,
this brother needs to be corrected and checked and saying that. First off, man, let me say this, man. When you talk about so-called Hispanics, right? When you talk about so-called Latinos, you need to understand that your black community was built on indigenous land. You know what I mean? The ghettos, right? That they're in, that was indigenous people's land first. So-called Hispanics, so-called Latinos, they're indigenous people. They have a right to be in those communities. You know what I mean? But let's go beyond the point. That's your people. So-called Latinos, the Haitians, that's your people. You didn't put that same energy into the Asians when they came in. You didn't put that energy when the Arabs came in, when the East Indians. But why is it all of a sudden when it's our people, now it's a problem? I'm going to tell you why. And that's in the Bible. Now we're going to go to Deuteronomy 28 and 54. This is why
the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 54, so that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eyes shall be evil towards his brother.
Right. So the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eyes shall be what?
Evil towards his brother.
Right. His eyes shall be evil towards his brother. Man, them Haitians are your brother. Them Mexicans are your brother. The Hondureños are your brother. Them North American Indians are your brothers. So-called North American Indians, right? Indigenous people are your brothers, black man and woman. You up there getting mad at the mayor, you know, for doing something righteous for once. You know what I mean? Yeah, y'all got an issue with that. That's what kills me, man. Keep reading that.
And toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall lead.
Right. So toward the wife of his bosom and towards the remnant of his children, which shall lead. Right. Of course, that's talking, you know, like that goes to the fatherless homes, right? Like, the whole point, right, is just that Israel was going to turn on itself, right? And we what's that term, right? Crabs in a barrel or crabs in a bucket, right? That you don't realize you're all in the bucket. You're trying to fight for the top, right? Not realizing someone put you in that bucket. You don't blame the person that put you in the bucket, but you blame the other crab trying to get some of that food. That's what's crazy, man. You know, this is what lack of brotherhood shows, right? And this shows you the internalized racism, the internalized hatred, right? The lack of brotherhood that we have and how we suffer, right? Now I want to close the class on a positive note, right? I'm gonna play this story right here. Right? This is the last one, and then we're gonna close the class out, right? Let's see. Because this is what happens when you mess with the Lord's people. Right? What is it? Florida. Here we go.
The GOP got right in line.
The state's Republican Governor Ron DeSantis signed the bill in May, just weeks before he announced his run for president. The law bans local governments from issuing ID cards to people who cannot prove citizenship. It requires hospitals that accept Medicaid funds to ask about a patient's citizenship status. It also increases penalties for people who
of course, all the laws they put in.
Undocumented
This is what
immigrants.
happens, right?
And it expands the use of E-Verify, a federal database employers can use to check a worker's immigration status.
Florida's strict new immigration law, courtesy of Ron DeSantis, just may backfire, driving away the
And
very
it
people the state
backfired.
relies
That's
upon
exactly
for its
what happened.
agricultural backbone. The Wall Street Journal reports that just days after the law went into effect, agricultural and construction businesses are already experiencing a labor shortage.
That's right.
That's right. Let's give the Most High a hand for that one. Right? I pray your businesses fail. Every one of you oppressors that own a construction. Go ahead, Ike.
That reminds me of that movie, A Day Without a Mexican.
Damn right. This idiot thought he was gonna, he's gonna win vote. Now he's gonna see that he played himself, man. You should leave the Lord's people alone, man. That's what you should do, man.
Shortage. And the law could also pose a threat to Florida's other main industry, tourism. The State Department of Motor Vehicles said some driver's licenses issued by other states will no longer be recognized as valid, releasing a list of 4 New England states which issue some licenses that do not meet the new law's
They stormed his house.
How long the
You know
law
what I mean?
remains in effect is uncertain as the Department of Justice fights it in court. But as the summer season wears on, the practical effects of the law may take hold sooner than later. Florida State Representative Anna Escamani is a Democrat serving the people of Orlando. She was elected to the Florida House in 2018 after she flipped a formerly Republican district. She herself is a daughter of immigrants, and she joins me now. Representative, it's always so good to see you. You represent a district in Central Florida, including parts of Orlando and its suburbs. Tell me how your constituents are reacting to this new law and how it's impacting them directly.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me, Katie. It's great to see you here. My constituents are incredibly frustrated by this. Not only do we just have a diverse community in Central Florida that embraces our immigrant neighbors, but as you mentioned in your introduction, we're seeing ramifications in multiple industries, from agriculture to tourism to construction. We're facing a housing affordability.
Say this real quick, Yakuan. Hey, all you white people that had a problem with it, right? That had a problem with illegal immigrants, man. And all you Uncle Toms, right? All you Uncle Toms and Tio Tomases, well, there you go, man. Yeah, go get to working. Go get your lazy behind up and go start, picking some fruit, some vegetables. Go work them fields. Start plumbing. Start construction, right? Talk about the Mexicans taking your job. The Hispanics are taking your job, right? The illegal immigrants. Well, there you go. I bet none of y'all gonna go out there and do that. You should watch your mouth, man, about the Lord's people. That's what I'll close the class with, man. I'm glad that happened. I want Florida to suffer an economic loss, man. May God destroy Florida's economy. You know what I mean? And let all of America's economy suffer. Let America crash. Let there be another Great Depression, man. For the way you treat the Lord's people. And you're going to see how okay we are going to be, man. Because all we need, right, in here is brotherhood. Brotherhood and sisterhood. We got the Lord with us, man.
That's right.
The Lord on our side. Right? That's what's going to get us out of this captivity. Coming back to serving the Lord. And serving the Lord, we're going to close out with the precept. Let's go to 1 John 4:20. Right, because I said, right, the law is brotherhood, right? The serving the Lord equates to brotherhood. And then close the class out with the scripture.
The book of 1 John, chapter 4, and verse 20. If a man say, I love God, and hated his brother, he is a liar.
Right. If a man say, I love God, and hate his brother, that sister that was talking, best believe what religion you think she is.
Christian.
She a Christian. Best believe all them black people right there saying all that, they were all Christians. The Latinos for Trump, all Christian. Right? The FBA, all Christian. Keep reading.
For he that loveth not his brother whom he hath seen, how can he love God who he hath not seen?
Right. For he had that love is not his brother who he have seen. How can he love God who he have not seen? Right? Right? So you're saying you love God, right? Because I'm sure y'all good Christians. Y'all believe in that cross. Y'all go to church. You say you love God, but you hate the Haitians. You hate the Mexicans. You hate the Hondurans, right? Coming into your community. You don't want them there, right? Keep reading that.
Verse 21. And this commandment have we from him.
Salah, let me see. How can he love God who you have not seen, right? You hate them who you see, right? You hate the Mexicans, the Haitians, the Hondureños who you see every day, but you love God who you've never seen when you go to church and all that, right? Now keep reading. Now read out. Salakia.
Verse 21. And this commandment have we from him, that he who loveth God love his brother also.
Read it again.
And this commandment have we from him, that he who loveth God love his brother also.
Read it again, not.
And this commandment we have from him, that he who loveth God love his brother also.
And he who does what?
He who loveth God love his brother also.
Right. This commandment have we from him, that he who loveth God loveth his brother also, man. So you want to serve the Lord, you got to practice brotherhood. And we're going to teach more brotherhood. This is a brotherhood class. We're going to go more deep into brotherhood the next classes, man. We're going to show you what it means, right? We're going to show you how to practice brotherhood. Go ahead, Yakuwan. You had a question?
Last.
No sweat. You know what I mean? But this is how you're going to learn true brotherhood. Here in the Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge under Commanding General Yohana, man.
That's right.
If you black, Hispanic, or Native American, I suggest you get in class and you come learn this, man. I'm showing you how the scriptures connect to our people, man. So you can keep tuning in, Raza, to see how the Bible is our story, how it's the story of black and brown. We're the same people, man. And the oppression we suffer here in America proves it, man. But with that, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai Barakatah to the carnales, Yahweh Shema Alatah Bashim Yahushai to the mujeres, man. With that, Shalom, Israel. I'm going to close it out with the song.
Straight off the top, I love all of my niggas. That shit ain't gon' stop till we on top and we ballin', my nigga. We be fly as fuck, you know them bitches be stalking my niggas. That shit'll never change and it's the same with all my niggas. City to city, I should be at home. That's what my ribs say. But bitch, I'm grown. I'm in these streets and closed caption. Niggas know we bout that action. If a nigga play with me, then my Hakim gon' let him have it. Hey, think you the shit, this truth the shit. Nigga play, I let that Ruger hit. Get on them tracks, they be like, who is this? I'm rude with it. Ain't got no manners. All them pussy niggas talking shit. Yeah, I know they can't stand us, but we UPK, Louisiana, bitch, that's what I'm ripping. And my niggas solid number, real ones in my section. If you wanna get down, put your boots on, start stepping. Brotherhood is a weapon. Brotherhood is a weapon. Better watch how you stepping, cause brotherhood is a weapon. If I die for my niggas, it'll be an honor and a blessing. Better watch how you stepping, cause brotherhood is a weapon. Brotherhood is a weapon. Better watch how you stepping, cause brotherhood is a weapon. If I die for my niggas, it'll be an honor and a blessing. Better watch how you stepping, cause brotherhood I lay my life down right now for all my sisters and brothers, because I love them. I see them dapping and hug them. It's amazing to see how well we adapt from the struggle. Born again from a life of sin, trapped in the gutter. My mind frame was to kill my own kind. Feeling inferior, waking up ready to die. Run with them killers, so it's just a matter of time. For I take your life or let you take mine. That's when I realized the slaves killing slaves while the white man live to get old. We in them graves, shit got me feeling played. I opened the Bible, went through them records, found out we was royalty, a nation to be respected. But in this world we rejected, we hated for our complex. Still fighting to get accepted. We hear the truth and reject it, but love is getting corrected. And all my niggas correct me. The commandments, the foundation we erected. Brotherhood is a